Yeah. So I think it's all right to start now. Yeah. Okay. Uh, we extend a warm welcome to everyone who has taken the time out of their evening to join us for this particularly special session of Narrating Difference. Um, and today we have two speakers actually. Uh, um, we have first Randall Sequeira, solitary worker, and Manoranjan Swain, independent researcher. And the topic that they will be dealing with is land alienation in Tribal Kalahandi, a participatory legal approach. And before we get into the really good stuff, we have to have a little intro to Narrating Difference, what this forum actually is. The students of the Department of Comparative Literature and India Studies at the English and Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad, have been organizing research forums regularly. Since its inception in 2018, Narrating Difference, the student led initiative, has provided an academic space for dialogue, exchange, and critical reflection, bringing together scholars, creatives, and activists from diverse disciplines and research interests. Its main mission is to foster dialogue across borders, across disciplines, and perspectives. And that is why we are particularly happy to have Randall and Manoranjan here with us today. And we would also like to inform everyone attending that this meeting, this session is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Narrating Difference YouTube channel, where you can also find any other previous episodes, sessions. And we also request everyone to mute their microphones for the duration of the talk, and that questions will be entertained and answered after the talk. And we will also put a form for the mailing list on the chat box, and anyone who is interested to be part of this mailing list can just fill up the form and register. And with that, I ask Geeta to introduce our speakers.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this session of the Research Forum. It's my pleasure to introduce Randall Sequeira and Manoranjan Swain as the speakers for today. Randall Sequeira is a solitary worker and medical professional based out of Kalahandi, Odisha. His work focuses on indigenous communities, land autonomy, resistance, and knowledge systems. Manoranjan Swain is a keen learner with the ambition to explore and gain knowledge in different fields. He has completed his post graduation in social work and has been a part of various fellowships and NGOs. He also cycled from eastern India to southern India with the motto, Be like a honeybee. Currently, he is associated with the Right to Food campaign, Odisha. I'm delighted to have them both here, and I invite Randall and Manoranjan to begin their talks. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Geeta. If it is all right with everyone, would it be okay if the talk goes on for about 35 to 40 minutes? And then we can, if there is a format for the questions, we could open up for that. Would that be all right?
Yes, that's
and it's
all right.
Okay. So we are thinking of doing it in an interview format, and actually this research is largely being done, led, at least the initiative is being led mainly by Manoranjan. So what I will do is give a small introduction of my own stay over here in Odisha, and then most of the stage is for Manoranjan. I will pitch in with a few questions about the research itself. Like Geeta introduced, I've been here for about 8 years in southern Odisha. And one of the things that really strikes me about Odisha is that, at least after I had been here for some time, is that there are no real stereotypes about the state. And it's in that sense, I felt it was a state when I moved into it was when I learned about it. It was not something that either on social media or through stories or through pop culture, you hear a lot about. So yes. So we'll start, Manoranjan. Is that okay? If you can, could you tell us something about a little bit about the geography and the people of Odisha to start off with?
Yeah, but I mean, yeah. First of all, thank you so much, Ipsita, for this lovely introduction. So I'm so happy to be here. So I'm basically from coastal belt of Odisha. So I mean, I'll just tell about very briefly about this coastal belt. So I mean, this cyclone is a very, I mean, it's a part of family member for the coastal belt people. So we often face, I mean, 2 to 3 times in a year. So for me, it is a very, different environment to work in this Kalahandi district. So I have a very, I mean, wide experience after working in Kalahandi. So yeah, that's all. I'd like to request Randall for to start this presentation.
It's different, no? I mean, from the experience growing up in coastal Odisha, and then when you came to Kalahandi about, I think, 2.5, 3 years ago. In that sense, how are the people, the communities over here different from your experience growing up in coastal Odisha, Manoranjan?
So I have. I mean, all this, all of my experience in Kalahandi, I'll specifically talks about Thuamul Rampul block, which I spent. I mean, I've done 2 fellowship in that specific block. Yes, I do experience very different. Like the geographical area is very different from my place because it's a hilly area. That is the first thing, and coastal belt there is no hill, there is no mountains, so that is the main difference from me. And the coastal belt lifestyle also is very different from this mountain people. So yes, there are lots of difference, but it's not. I mean, it's a very short time. I have very short time, so it's not possible for me to difference all those experiences. So these are the 2 main experience difference. Yeah.
So tell us about these fellowships. I mean, how did you get involved with these fellowships? Both the first one and the second one. Tell us a little more about it.
Yes, the first fellowship was the Gandhi Fellowship, which I've done in 2019 to 2021 in Kalahandi district, and I was based in Thuamul Rampur block. So my work is to visit the schools and improve the SLO, student learning outcomes. So my second fellowship is B.N. Jugandhar Renfed Agriculture Fellowship, which was this was implemented by Wasan NGO. So this fellowship, I've conducted this in my second fellowship. I've conducted this research land alienation in Tribal Kalahandi, participatory applied legal research. Yeah.
Okay. So can you tell us more about how you got involved with this particular question of land alienation? I mean, I know I was there and I've been working here and I connected you to the people over there. But then afterwards, most of my involvement was largely hands-off, I think. So could you tell us more about the people, the community you got involved with, and then a little bit about what it entailed traveling to the place, and then how you went about your research?
Yeah. So when I was doing my LLB, so I got a call from Randall. He told me very briefly about this land alienation issue. So at that time, I remember he told me the same thing. Like, since we're a lawyer, then let us do something. So without a single, without a second thought, I just agreed with what Randall told me. Then eventually we got a fellowship. This Wasan fellowship. So initially, I was not happy with the time that the fellowship. This is a 6-month fellowship, and I know this 6 month is very less. And this land alienation is a very sensitive issue. So 6 months may not be sufficient for it. So, but before start this fellowship, I was clear that I'll spend most of the time in the community to understand this land alienation issue. And for me, this is, when I start my journey from headquarters Bhawanipatna to the village, it was very interesting. The distance, it was, I think, 70 to 80 kilometers from Bhawanipatna to the village, but it took me more than 5 hours to travel from Bhawanipatna to Kerpai. And again, from Kerpai to the village, it is another 10 kilometers, I think 10 to 12 kilometers, and there is no transportation. You have to find your own transportation for that. So that is very, it's very interesting for me to cover 80 kilometers for 5 hours. And the community, it's a Kond community, it's a tribal community, and I never be with this community, and it was also for me, it's a very new experience to be with the community, to stay with them, to be part of that community. Yeah.
So I was working in this area for about 3 years. That's why I was so well versed with the geography at that time. मुझे थोड़ा सा बेहतर पता था कि वो जो गांव है किरपाई जो 90 किलोमीटर दूर है भवानीपटना डिस्ट्रिक्ट हेडक्वार्टर्स ऑफ कलाहांडी से, वहां से फिर जो कांदुलगुड़ा गांव में पहुंचना था, वहां पे किरपाई में आप लखन माजी से मिले थे, फिर उन्होंने कुछ वहां के कहानी के बारे में आपको बताया। तो वो कहानी क्या थी जिसके वजह से फिर तुम वहां पे गए भी और फिर वहां पे डिसाइड किया कि वहीं पे रहते हुए कुछ समझने की कोशिश करते हैं?
So before approaching to the community, like you mentioned, I first talked to Lakhan Maji in Kerpai. So he told me about this money lender, like how this sahukar or money lender, what is their role in the community, in the tribal community. So he has a relatives in Kandulguda village as well as in different neighboring villages of Kandulguda. So as for his understanding, he told me that whenever these people required money in marriages or any medical cases, so they used to borrow money from the money lender. And money lender used to give them the money, and also money lender used to buy from this NTAP product, non-timber forest product from the community. So basically, if you look at this relationship, the money lender, he has the control over the community. Financially, he has the control over the community. So communities depend upon the money lender for many things. Yeah.
And he was from the neighboring district, right? This area also is right at the border, and he was from the neighboring district, and he had this control over the community. And one of the things Lakhan Maji also told us is that he had a similar kind of control over some 2 or 3 other villages as well, right? It was almost like these villages were kind of connected to the Saukar as some kind of Maibab.
So there are other villages are there who has this similar kind of relationship with the money lender, and also money lender belongs to the Raigada district, which is neighboring district of Kalahandi, and this village is border area between Kalahandi and Raigada, but this village is coming under Kalahandi district. Yeah.
Okay. So tell us a little, about your experience, what you found out about how was it, कैसे वो साहूकार ने जमीन हड़प किया लोगों का, तुम जब वहां पे जाके रहे तभी वो जो तुम लोगों से पता चला कि वहां पे रहते हुए कांदुलगुड़ा गांव में कैसे मतलब कैसे ये जमी हड़प का स्टोरी उनको भी पता चला और फिर उनका क्या रिएक्शन था इमीडिएट?
ओके, तो पहले तो है कि जो साहूकार है उसका बहुत अच्छा रिलेशनशिप था कांदुलगुड़ा गांव वालों के साथ। तो गांव वाले अक्सर उसको नॉन टिम्बर फॉरेस्ट प्रोडक्ट जो भी वो फॉरेस्ट से लाते हैं एक्सेप्ट टिम्बर, उसको बेचते हैं। और जब भी उनको पैसे की जरूरत होता है तो वो उसी साहूकार से पैसा मांगते हैं। बहुत ही अच्छा रिलेशनशिप था उनका दोनों के साथ। और साहूकार जब भी आता है, ये रिलेशन बहुत अच्छा, मैं इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ कि बाहर से दिखता है रिलेशन इज वेरी गुड, but it is not the very good, it is very exploitative, because whenever the sahukar comes to the village, he used to take uska jo bhi man hai, like whatever he used to take the things. For example, usko man hai ki wo कुछ मैंगो लेने के लिए कि फॉरेस्टर्स दे यूज्ड टू the villagers they used to collect the mangoes, तो वो लेता है। तो ये था उसका रिलेशनशिप। और बाद में then if you allow me to explain, then I would like to share this chronology of events, like पहले क्या हुआ था।
Please do that. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
ओके, तो 2023 में आई थिंक 2023 अप्रैल में साहूकार ने जस्ट अप्रोच टू द कम्युनिटी एंड ही क्लेम दैट दिस एंटायर बॉर्डर लैंड इज बिलोंग्स टू मी, सो फ्रॉम टुडे ऑनवर्ड्स आई विल कल्टिवेट द लैंड. So the villagers are so surprised because they have been cultivating the land since time immemorial. So it was very shocking for them. Then the next week, the sahukar brought there are I think 6 to 7 workers, and the sahukar asked them to clean the area. Then the villagers stopped them. Then the third week, sahukar brought the revenue inspector with him and demarcated the land. And revenue inspector also declared that this particular land is belong to the sahukar. Then the next week, the sahukar plowed the entire land and uprooted more than 200 plants, which was planted by the villagers. And sahukar destroyed Devistal in 3 different places. And since then, the villagers stopped the cultivation. And the sahukar, he has started this, making this boundary, bringing some material to make the boundary. And he also threatened to the villagers that if anybody dare to stop him, then I will kill them and throw them into the forest. So this was the chronology of events.
Mm-hmm. And he stayed in this neighboring town where the villagers used to go for their marketing and stuff like that. That was also there, right? It was
that is the place. Yeah, the place name is the Kalyan Singhpur block, which is the only market for the Kandulguda village to meet their daily necessities for their basic necessities. Also. Yes, that is the only hospital also. So the sahukar also threatened to the villagers that if anybody dare to stop me, then I will stop your, you cannot access the Kalyan Singhpur market, because since I have the shop in the market, I would not allow you to access the market. So the villagers, in a way, you can see that the villagers was confined with that village. If they say anything, then it will be very difficult for them to survive.
So, Manoranjan, now coming to actually, because it was a fellowship from an organization, I think we also felt a little constrained. That one, we also written it into the proposal that we would try to find out what the impact. We approached it from looking at yes, the land could belong to the sahukar or it could belong to the villagers. let's approach it objectively as researchers then in that sense. And from that perspective, we kind of try to find out the impact of the alienation. So you started staying over there, I think, towards the end of 2023, if I'm not wrong. Is that correct?
No,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
2024,
Yeah.
January 2024. I've started staying. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you started staying there, you said that, I mean, one thing is that we found out about the plants that were uprooted, and you mentioned this thing about the Devi Sthal as well. So because this was our typical research methodology, then so to say, to find out the impact of the alienation. That was something we immediately realized, that obviously the land belonged to the villagers, and it's a schedule area. It's a Schedule 5 area as well. So obviously it belonged to the villagers. And so when could you tell us a little bit about how this alienation from the land, and initially we thought it was a much bigger land, about 80 acres is what we found out. But then through your stay over there, you realized that it wasn't that much. So could you tell us what was the impact of this alienation on the people?
Okay, so for the Kandulguda villagers, they are solely dependent upon the agriculture only. So once they stop the cultivation, first thing it was very difficult from them to, for their livelihood, it was for very, very, very difficult for them to at least have the 2 meals in a day. While I staying in the community, I also seen that there are so many households who are eating just rice because there is no vegetables, and for them they don't have the money also. One thing is they struggle a lot to get the 2 meals in a day. Similarly, if you look at the tribals, they are very connected with the land. So land, for them, land is not only giving them the food, rather it is part of their culture, their tradition. So once they stop the cultivation, they also stop celebrating a lot of festivals like Bihan Tapa. Like Bihan Tapa is a festival when they first sowing the seeds festival, and this Toki Parav, and there are so many festivals. They just stop for celebrating it because they don't have the money, as well as they don't have the land. And it also affect their mental health and their health as well, because the entire 1 year the villagers just confined. They just don't cultivate anything. So for them there is no work also. So it's affect to their entire lifestyle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you had also mentioned certain deaths that happened in the village because of the connection to the Devi Sthal that was with the JCB had completely taken it off, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So once they destroyed the Devi Sthal, there are 3 deaths occurred one after another, and the villagers again borrowed 7,000 money from another money lender to perform some rituals, just because they believe because of destroying the Devi Sthal, these 3 deaths has happened. So to stop the death, they just perform these rituals.
Okay. And so now, if we can move on, I think this is where I also felt that we were very restricted by methodology. That we had to find out what the impact of all of this was, as almost like a proof to say that yes, this land actually belonged to the Kon people in Kandulguda. So now, how did you now your experience over there, staying in the village? While you were staying there, there were various visits from the Saukar. You also understood a little bit about the caste relationship in the village. So could you start with telling us what was this caste relationship in the village? And especially generally when you talk about tribal communities, you say that they don't kind of subscribe to this whole caste system in general. So can you tell us a little more about this internal relationship within the village?
Okay. So the Kandalgura village, there are 30 households, and out of 30, 29 household are belongs to Kond, which is scheduled tribe, and one community belongs to Dom, which is scheduled caste. So here, the one household, he has the control over the entire 29 household, because this household, this Dom household, actually this tribal people, they used to invite the Dom people to come to the village and stay with them, and take care of these domestic animals, because this corn, they have the land, and to cultivate the land they need domestic animals like bull and cows and all. So for taking these animals, they used to take help from the Dom. So Dom household, the person who to the 20 years back, he has a big house in that community, as well as he has a tractor, and also he sell the alcohol. So why this thing happened? Because this Dom household, if you look at this Dom household, they are very linked to the market. So they are very smart people. So this Dom person who came to the village 20 years back, but now he is the rich person in that village. So the relationship also is very exploitative. And if I talk about a particular issue, this Dom household,
Can you name him? You just name him. No, Manoranjan, tell his name rather than saying
yeah. Name. Yes, his name is Nakul Naik. So he is the first person who created this issue. When this alienation took place, he just signed a witness when Sahuka sold his land to another person.
So you're saying the Saukar who said that he owned the land sold it to some other person, and
yes,
and Nakul Naik was the witness for that sale of land, which means that he had the papers. The Saukar Dilip Kumti had the papers in his name, and then he could legally sell it to someone else. Correct?
Yeah. So he has the ROR, record of the rights. But that is, again, it's a question like how come it's possible. But let us not go to that.
We'll get into that.
Yeah. Yes. That is the truth.
So when you were there in the village, I mean, there is this relationship between the Kond Adivasi people and Nakul Naik that you noticed. You noticed the relationship with the Saukar as well. Now, who are the other players in this? While you were staying there, the village got visited by specifically told you not to go and interact, but to keep a distance so that you can see what happens then. So, could you tell a little bit about who were these various government officials who visited the village, and what was the experience of the people that you noticed over there?
Okay, so there are the entire administrative department like revenue inspector, police. So these I've seen these two government officers in that village. So when this revenue inspector came to the village, and actually I was there, then the villagers invite me to they just asked me to come to that place where this revenue inspector was there. So initially I was denied. I told them, no, you just talk to him. It's better not to involve. But repeatedly they call me, and finally I visited. So when I visited to the revenue inspector, then there are 2 to 3 chairs, and all of them occupied by this government officers, and all the villagers are just surrounding. I mean, they're just standing
sitting on the
behind this.
ground.
Yeah, sitting in the ground, but behind this revenue, this government officers. So and also I observed, like, when this revenue inspectors declared that this land belongs to Sahukar Dilip Manik Rao, and why you are just why you are just you are not why you are not accepting it, and why you are just claiming this land is belong to us. So the villagers just accepted it. They did not question anything. And also I've seen that how the entire fear, you can see the entire fear in their face. So that was the moment when I saw this, and I was so surprised that the villagers, however, the villagers told me that this land belongs to us, but they cannot tell the same thing in front of this revenue inspector.
Mm-hmm. And the police officer? And the police officer, what happened over there?
So first the police officer send it's a small list, like a small paper, and there are few people's name. So there is a person who entered to the village and asked the villager that this is the list of the people, and the police asked them to come to the police station. Then the villagers visited to the police station, and they are also I did not I was not there, but what I heard, the villagers did not say anything to the police officer. And the police officer repeatedly threatened to the villagers that this land is this entire land belongs to the Saukar, and you don't have the rights to claim this land belongs to you. So the villagers accepted it. So they have also that great fear. And when I talked to Mukta Mazi, who is Ghontia, head of the community, so I can say that he has a great fear, and the entire village had a great fear for the police, for the revenue inspector. So they don't have that courage to deny whatever they are saying.
Okay. So then, that's when we sat and discussed this, and we also decided there is something we needed to do on the documents front, because eventually this was a legal research. Could you tell a little bit about what happened on the documentary front? The various documents that you engaged with as a process to in a sense to prove maybe with the community that this is still their land. So what are all the documents that you kind of unearthed while being there, and then while visiting various other places?
Okay, so initially I found first thing is that this disputed land is 12 acre some decimal. This land belongs to the Manik Rao as per the ROR, record of the rights. So the villagers, out of 29 households, 9 villagers have the ROR, record of the rights. So now the question is, if the entire land, Patta, yeah. Now the question is, if the entire land, this outer area of the community belongs to the Manik Rao, and which is coming under this 12 acre, then what about this 9 household who have the ROR? And also, finally, access the Bhulek Odisha, which is the revenue revenue land side of this government portal. Yeah, I found another 11 people in that village who have the ROR. So then altogether 20 people, 20 household have this ROR. But the question is, nobody knows where is the land. That is a very interesting question. And another,
because it's a communal land, right? It's all communally cultivated. So they've been cultivating there, and even if you ask people, they'll say where the land is, but it cannot be connected to the actual thing on the Odisha government map. Oops.
Yes, that is a communal land, and they are cultivating this land, in a community basis. So another thing is Malguzari. So as per the villagers, they have been paying the Malguzari for more than 25 years for this disputed land. But on
Land tax.
land tax. But unfortunately, due to fire, they lost some of the Malguzari. But somehow I recovered Malguzari for over the period of I think 12 to 15 years. Then another document I collected, that is Yadasta. So as per the Yadasta, this disputed land is belongs to the Sahukar. Okay. But the question is, all this periphery land, all this, all this neighboring land is belongs to the Kon people. So the question is, how come it's possible that in that scheduled area, in that in that Kon people's land, how come it's possible a non-tribal person own a very big portion of land in the middle of this tribal land? That is a question. Then when I asked this question to the record keeper in the revenue department, he told me this is very tricky and we don't have this document because all this revenue document, Thwamulrampur's blocks, all this revenue document shifted to the Sambalpur due to insufficient of place in Kalahandi. So that is the main reason. So that is it's a 200 kilometers away from the district headquarters. So this is the question, like how come it's possible a non-tribal person own a particular, it's a very big portion of land in the middle of the tribal land. Then one more thing.
The Yadasta, just to clarify, is this land settlement document. It's a process that the government does every 30 to 40 years to kind of settle that who has the land right now, who are the owners of the land. Yeah, please go ahead. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. So yes, you are right. So sorry, I missed this part. So this settlement was done in 1989. And interestingly, when I asked to the revenue inspector that from whom this revenue, from whom Sahukar brought this land, then the revenue inspector replied me that this land is belongs to the king, and when this land settlement took place, so the revenue department came to this place and he declared this land is belongs to these people, and nobody claimed that. Then the king gave this land to the Sahukar. But surprisingly, in 1989, there was no king. So when I asked the revenue inspector, please give me that paper. When these things happened, you must have the notice, something like that. Then they said, no, we cannot give you that. So that is very interesting.
Mm-hmm. So now tell this, we kind of came up with an experiment with what was happening in the village. Could you tell us a little bit about this experiment, which was eventually, I think, one of the reasons why people were able to think, even imagine that in a way that will reclaim the land. I think all this time, one of the most important things is that you were always there. Every month, I think you were spending about 10 to 15 days over there. And I think your presence over there certainly kind of galvanized people. You did some meetings on SCST Act and the PESA Act and the forest rights and all. But this experiment that we tried out, could you tell us a little bit about the simulation-based thing? Yeah.
Okay. So when I observe this relationship between these tribal people with the government officer, then Randall and me, we just decided to implement this simulation-based model, because the villagers, they have that fear. Because of this fear, they could not speak out. They could not speak their rights. So what I did, I just chose to the people that you are the Sahukar. For example, Muktamazai asked him, you are the Sahukar, and another person I told him, you are the revenue inspector, and another person is a police officer, and there are some other people. I just told them, you are just villagers. And these three people came to the village and just claim this entire land is belongs to the Sahukar. And how you would ask the question and what could be the conversation. So initially it was so funny for the entire community. Then I separate the group. I just did this simulation based model with the youth, then the women, and then the old age male people. So what I did, the same thing I just did repeatedly. So what kind of question you should ask while this revenue inspector entered to the village or the police inspector entered the village. So what happened after doing this? Then the revenue inspector came to the village. Then he said, "Okay, if you are saying this destruction of Devistal, I mean the Saukar destroyed three different destroyed Devistal in three different places. We'll build a sacred grove for you." So then the villagers said, "So you are admitting that the Devistal was destroyed by the villagers? By the Saukar?" He said, "Yes." Now, okay, then now tell us, like, this is the revenue. So if you are admitting it, then what is your action? I mean, now you understood that this Devistal was destroyed by this Saukar. Then what is your action? And likewise, he asked so many, like villagers asked him so many questions. So for them also, for the revenue inspector, it was first time for him that the villagers asking him the question. And the same thing happened with the police. When the police, this Kalarpat police staff approached to the community that to come to the police office once again, then the villagers asked him, "This is the revenue matter. So how come police officer involved in this matter and asking us to come to the police station?" Then the police officer asked him, "Where did you get all this information and how come you ask me the question?" The important thing is police officer asked him, "How come you ask us this kind of question?" That was very interesting, and I believe this is because of the simulation based model. Yeah.
Okay. So, Manoranjan, last question. I think we'll close up now. I think so. This why? I mean, this is something I was thinking of asking you. This is something that even I have experienced, and then there is this kind of a culture of agreeing to anyone who's in power. There's a culture of being silent and listening to whatever they are saying. Why do you think that this is happening in villages like this? It's an interior area. Not too many administrative officers also go to this place, but anyone who goes, people are in fear of them. So this fear, this kind of a culture of silence, this hesitation, this agreement with whatever they say. Why do you think, based on your stay over there, why do you think this happens? And we use the simulation model, but why do you think that this kind of a thing happens?
Well, whatever experience I get from the community, I can say the villagers, they have their own, their own understanding. They have their own vision, so they know what to say, whom to say, and how much to say. This sense of, this culture of silence, it is very old community. All these coastal people like me, or all smart people, whoever to the community, so they always, approach the community like they are very smart, they know everything, and they have the power. So that behavior is always carrying. We are just from the outsider. We have always that behavior. So that is the reason for the community, because they feel inferior, and these people who are coming from the different, it's coastal people or a different, government officers, they have that superior feeling. They always approach the community that they know everything and they have the power. So, and meanwhile, this community have this understanding, this community have that inferior feeling, and I believe this is one of the reason for culture of silence. But there are many reasons. There are many literatures are there, and one more thing I would like to, yeah, please, you were saying something.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
One more.
So one more thing, and one more thing I want to share, like this researcher and research. Like my understanding, this is very this is for me, it's a very unlearning process for me, because when I was doing my social master in social work, so I've been with many research activities. So I look at this research. It was my previous thought. I looked at the research like just researcher approach to the researchers identify the issue, then approach to the community and extract the data and publish in the different platforms. That's all. Here I found something very interesting, and it changed their perspective. So I believe, I don't know, I don't have this the definition, I think, or I don't have this perfect answer for this, but whatever I believe, the research should not confine the identified issue. He must have that, the researcher should find the solution rather than confine with the issue, and also before presenting anything. And here, like I've seen so many researchers, they just approach to the community and extract the data, and they just present themselves like an outsider. So I believe researchers should not researchers to be part of the community. So yeah,
that happens to some connection building, no? Yeah. So basically, what happened after that, I think by January was when you were there. By the end of those 6 months, I believe it was rainy season again, and people started cultivating their land again. Again, after that, there have been a few newspaper articles published, and despite there's reclamation of the land, the truth of the matter is that legally the land still belongs to the new owner in that sense. But on the ground, there are people who have reclaimed their land. So obviously, this will continue in a way. And thanks for agreeing to do this in an interview format, Manoranjan. It is something new for me too. So we'll stop.
For me also.
We'll stop. We'll stop here. And yes, if please, I think most of the questions I hope are directed towards you. But it can be directed towards me too. Yeah, please. I think we'll stop talking now.
Yes.
Thank you, Randall and Manoranjan, for that very insightful and also nuanced research into the lives of tribal people and the kind of issues that they face with land acquisition, etc. And the issue of self-perception, I think, was particularly, that Manoranjan mentioned towards the end, was particularly touching, because that really is an issue that needs to be addressed, like the sense of inferiority that one might feel when one comes into contact with someone from outside, and also someone, not just someone, but someone from a position of power, and how that can have real life effects on these people and probably generations to come after them. And I really applaud you for this work, and I think it is a really good thing that you're doing, and very practical also. But I was also not concerned, but I was intrigued regarding the on-ground work that you have to do, because this research is very participatory, as you had said, and you have also mentioned that other researchers have gone and just kind of extracted data and then went on about their research. But regarding the simulation and so on, there must have been a lot of ethical concerns that were brought into question with the nature the type of intervention that you were imposing as well. So that is just a question that popped up to my mind. And would you like to the PPT? Should I show it, Randall? Would you like?
Yes,
me?
yes. If you, yeah, there are some photos at the start and at the end. And certainly, if you can show that first, we had those very typical research objectives at the start, so that would be a good.
Okay, just one moment. I just share my screen. Okay.
Yeah, so this is, it's, I'll just tell, basically, most of the Kon Adivasi people, they build their houses in a line. So it will be an east-west facing, north-south facing line, in which the neighboring house will be continuous with the next one. And then there'll be a front porch and a back porch. So that is, and then they have a central gudi kind of religious space in the center. So we had those typical kind of objectives, at the start. We did all of this stuff, and just the way forward. Just if you could go back a little bit.
Back.
Yeah, way forward. Yeah. So one thing we realized is that a lot of the Kon people speak Kui. It's a Dravidian language, and it's their first language. So we realized that most of the laws concerning Adivasi people are not even if the laws are translated to Odia, the rules along the lines of the laws are not translated to Odia. And then Odia becomes a second language, so Kui is a far cry. Theatre is something that we spoke about, and largely this kind of, this thing was some kind of reflexive work that we've been having discussions about how we were so driven by methodological rigidity, that research is done in this way. And that's why we had those objectives at the start. And we thought we'd approach it from a very objective kind of a mindset. So, yeah, that is, we can stop over here. I believe, there are a few photos towards the end, I think. Yeah, Manoranjan, this is your show. So I'll stop. This land has been recultivated then. So this was before, and then there's one last photo of them cultivating it after. That's late last year. Yeah.
So now we'll open all our questions. The question round is open. Okay, there is a question in the chat box which I will read. Could you please tell us a bit more about how did people over time respond to the simulation method that you used?
Initially it was so funny for the entire community. Then I, like I said, I just divided the group. I first approached to the youth, and I did the same thing with the youth, and as well as this women and this old age people. So later on, they realized when they started asking the question, then they realized how important the simulation-based model was. So it was very entertaining for them. So they enjoyed a lot.
But also now what's happened is that there's been there have been continuous visits to the village. Recently also the police inspector visited and called people to the police station. And what we realized is, like, on paper, yes, the land does not belong to the people, but they are obviously cultivating it. But also, like, there is a certain value to, I think, our continuous presence in the village also. That was one thing that I realized, that since we have moved out and the cultivation cycle is over, the government officers continue to come, and he's been summoning people to the police station for some time. So last time people went along as well, and the same threats that ensued. So yes, I think maybe it's time. Maybe we should revisit the village and see if we can. We visited about. I think I visited about 2 months ago, and that time there was this thing that we've been called again, and what's happening over there. But yeah, I think maybe this is something. It might make sense to do the simulation. May do another cycle of it in that sense, and this time maybe play. I am thinking a lot because I have not been there when you've done this. Along the lines of these personas of the Saukar, the new owner, the revenue inspector, to talk to the people who act as the revenue inspector. I'm thinking a lot about this. How do they feel doing this in that sense? And I don't think it makes sense doing this as a research anymore. So that is something. Yeah.
Okay, if there are any more questions regarding the entire presentation, regarding the talk, now would be the time. And perhaps you could take this time to elaborate further on my concern, like regarding like the ethical inclinations and the ethical aspects of conducting such a sort of theater simulation. Although the ends is totally justified, but the means.
Should I? Yeah. So for ethical clearance, like I don't have this written any I don't have any written record, but the entire fellowship and also the simulation based model, I always first approach to the community that okay, this is the thing and I'm planning to do this because of this reason, and if you do it, then outcomes will be this. So whatever this whatever methodology, including the simulation based model I approach to the community, I always ask the community first, then I did it then I implemented it. So the entire so because of this reason, although the fellowship staff, but the villagers, I mean, they also approach to the revenue. They approach to the RI. They visited to the RI office, and also they asked the question. So this thing happened because of this participatory approach. So yeah.
One thing for me is that we were restricted by this being a funded research. So we approached the organization to see if they had something like an ethics committee on this. But eventually I realized that I think it's better to be and we kept on asking them again and again about it, and they just kind of slept over it. So I mean, in a way, them sleeping over it was a good like a go ahead for us to think of it in the sense that maybe it'd be better to be driven by our own ethics and our own connections with people in the village. So that is one thing. Certainly, we tried our best to get some kind of a group to be able to sit on it, but on my end now, I'm actually quite convinced that the ethics clearance possibly needs to come from people in the community itself, not from some ethical board sitting somewhere else that does not understand the language or the worldview of the people inside there. This was not planned as part of the research anyway. Yeah.
I just wanted to ask that, is there an ethical board kind of thing? I mean, I have always been under the impression that the ethics as far as oral history is concerned is consent from whoever you are speaking to.
Yeah, so we were, I think, more driven by how generally research is done. So Maybe that's why the
Even
organization did not
generally,
have an ethics board.
I'm sort of even generally, I mean, I can't conceptualize an ethics board that is located somewhere else in a completely different civilization almost, which will allow you to do what you do or not do. I mean, I have no idea. And so I'm very interested in understanding this because, I mean, all these years, I have thought that, the ethics of particularly oral history is to do with the respondent rather than anyone else. I mean, it's the relation that the person who is listening has with the person who is speaking, of course, in the larger context. So, I mean, just dispel my doubt if that is not the case.
No, it's my medical training as well. Usually, medical research needs an ethical board. So that's my that was my methodological rigidity. So that is something that is stuck in my head. So that's why we mentioned that. And then we try to do it also. Unfortunately, we spent a lot of time, Manoranjan, on trying to get them to get a sign off on this. We also at that time, at the start also, we were quite driven by, we will publish this somewhere and it will be there. It will be a kind of a result. I think this was a discussion we had. That it would be a good thing for your resume, at least at that point of time. But yeah, so it was an evolving thing. Yeah.
On the other hand, I mean, I think there are some people who will be able to tell us what really the legal so-called position is on this. That, I mean, even if you did publish, what kind of, consent from the respondent is more than enough to publish, if I am not wrong. And that too, you don't have to publish that, you need to state it. Is that right?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
On the legal side, this gets documented. Like there was a newspaper article in an Odia newspaper, and even if it gets eventually published, this becomes a documentation that can be used in case there's a legal case in the future. So this is always, any kind of publication is useful for in that sense for the future of this conflict around the land.
And that actually connects to something which, a conversation that I was having on the side while you were having your conversation with a friend who is a historian. And I was trying to tell him that, what you are doing is actually oral history, in the sense that this piece of land, the number of narratives that you have collected around it, including your own involvement, is actually the history of that land. I don't see it being anything else. So do you think of it like that? I mean, you may not, of course, but that is what it appears to me to be, because the different communities or the different people who are involved practically and concretely in a particular space, not only one piece of land, but also the entire community which inhabits that land. The history of that land is the history of their relations to the land and to each other, from what I understand. And you have a very linked narrative of how it functions on different levels with different people. So again, I mean, I will ask those people who are, who have a technical definition of this, that if this is not, oral history, then what is? Those is not only documents, but the way in which those documents have been used for a particular purpose, which is people doing things, which is what I understand is history, right?
Yeah. I think it also moved into those phases. Basically, Initially, looking at the impact, it was typical sociology kind of research. The second, then we got into, I thought that it would be good to get to understand the genealogy of the place, just to establish antiquity of the community in the place from a legal perspective. And the third was really heartfelt interviews that Manoranjan did, trying to understand what land meant to people over there. There's a woman, Kumta Dei, who this really amazing kind of, especially like it's like calling the land a second mother, and not just I mean not just something to grow something on, but something that clothes you, that feeds you, that is it takes care of you from birth to death. So that is, in fact, the research went through those phases of, in that sense, collecting what would be over the trees. Yeah.
Yeah. Manoranjan, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I'm okay. Thank you so much for giving us this space.
I've got one question. One question.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
A couple of
please.
observations. Yeah. So, based on what you said right up till now, most of it seems to me that it's a. I mean, I am from Orissa. I'm from Navrangpur, so I've seen this happen. Like a lot of it is agriculture based. Like all of these groups are heavily reliant on agriculture, right? Which inevitably gets sort of a credit based economy, so to speak, and then they get trapped with all these predatory money lending practices, and then they end up losing their land and all sorts of stuff, right? And then it sort of gets legitimized. Even if they try to challenge it, it gets legitimized by the use of whatever these government offices and police and etc., which is where the sort of helplessness part of it comes from, right? And then what you were trying to do with the simulation based method, and at the risk of sounding very reductive, is basically educating people, right, about their rights and how to deal with people, right? It's basic, I mean, similar to what a lawyer would do while prepping their clients before facing somebody, more or less. Yeah. In terms of like, so for me, it seems like a case of like a dire necessity to educate people, right? Of maybe financial literacy, if you want to put it that way, and then about their rights. So not like a research-based question, but are you aware of any organizations or anybody who's doing that sort of work? Because if there is, I would like to sort of be involved with that. I don't know about any of these organizations as of now, which is why I'm asking it.
Okay, let me first answer this. Actually, while I implemented this simulation-based model, I did not look at like I'm educating them. So first thing is this, and second one is there is no NGOs. I mean, after this fellowship, I approached a lot of NGOs. Like there are this kind of situations or this kind of alienation happen in many villages in Kalahandi or some other districts. Let us do something. So nobody come forward, because everybody believe this land means against the state. So it's better to get away from this land disputed things. So yeah, please Randall ji, if you have any yeah.
We would like to set up something though. That would be nice.
Yes.
Yeah, that I think is a great idea. What would it require? Apart from you, of course, because I don't see. I mean, maybe some. Yeah, go ahead.
We in fact, we've been discussing this. We thought we'll speak to, and we started doing a little bit of that also. We thought we'll speak to a few revenue inspectors, to the Amin who helps to measure the land, to look at what their day entails, how they go about this. I mean, if to approach it from this process of how is it that a government servant manages to become the whole and soul kind of regulator and malik in a particular way. But I think this is something that we maybe had a few conversations about, and then we moved on with our lives. That would tell you the truth. But this is something participatory research in itself, and theatre particularly was something that I am quite keen to be able to use for education. You could say education, but I think yeah. I mean, for lack of a better word, we could say education. But this is it's I don't look at it as a kind of like even like financial literacy or education that how it's done right now. It's kind of modularized in a particular way. This has to be probably customized to various things like the past relationship. Because when you were doing the simulation model, I think you were very careful that Nakul was not there in the village at that time. And even now, when you visit the village, you get looks from him, right? So even I got it last time. So yeah. So this is there. It's messy in that sense, I guess.
No, that is desirable, I should think. I mean, the point is to make it cut and dry in the sense that it belongs to X and that's the end of the story, so shut up. Don't ask anything. Where did it come from? It came obviously from God or someone. I mean, it's his right. So that, I think what Rishabh was saying is like it's education in our minds, but the point is that again, that there is also silence, as you said. Maybe they know these things. Maybe they are aware of these things. Maybe they know that it is unjust. But they do require to say it. Maybe, not maybe, really what you did helped. At least they could ask these questions. So, at the end of the day, education or not, whatever it is, it had a positive effect, which is why I tend to think that, it's ethical. It hasn't ended up. You may have asked them questions which are unethical by our standards or whatever it is. But the ultimate effect that occurred is something positive. So, if we're going to split hairs about that and end up not having an effect in order to be ethical, don't think that serves the purpose of anything at all.
I think we tried the usual education way. I think Manoranjan, you did these meetings on the PESA, on the SCST Act and stuff like that. All of them have very strong provisions on how the law can be used to fight this kind of injustice, but they prove to be quite fruitless largely. So,
that's because the law, the person who knows the law is not the one who is implementing it, right? His problem is that he knows it and he thinks that it should be implemented. But so the actual education is on the other side. That if a law exists, it's on both sides perhaps. No wonder you are not liked by anybody. The other side possibly does not want to be educated, of course, in realizing who or what they are. But what do you think it will, take for you to set up whatever you think you can set up?
We need to be motivated, I guess.
Sorry?
We need to be motivated. We need to be motivated to work on this together. That's there.
You only need motivation. You don't need monetization. That's easy. Motivation is easy.
Also, I sort of missed the first part. What exactly are you guys doing now?
Yeah.
Manu Babu, bolo.
Yeah, like it's a very difficult question.
You saw how they were introduced. They introduced themselves as a solitary worker and
No, no, I
Currently,
know
like I
which
said,
variant.
I'm associated with the Right to Food campaign. Along with
It was
this,
solidarity, but I think Candle made me very solitary in all of this.
I'm so sorry. I did not realize I was very nervous. Yes.
No, I think this is something which Rishabh
No,
can kind of go and find out what is going on, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was
I
asking
think
because
that
I'm
is what
living in
you should do.
Nagarpur now.
Yeah, that is what you should do. You're close by also.
Yeah.
yeah, please come to
please come.
Kalahandi Reserve. Yeah.
Rishabh, I said solidarity worker because there's an anti-bauxite mining movement that both of us
Oh,
have
I
been
think.
part of. We've kind of supported it in a particular way. And recently, there's been a forest advisory committee kind of an order saying that the mining process is deferred, but I mean, it's a continuing battle. So that a lot of that is happening. As a medical professional, basically, I am working with a few groups on documenting the medical impact of the health impact of mining displacement due to conservation efforts and dams and stuff like that. So that's what I'm doing. Manoranjan, please.
Yeah. So apart from this, I'm also practicing law, but last few months I stopped practicing it due to some reasons. And also I'm a part of this Right to Food campaign. And yes, I'm traveling and exploring the things. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Interesting. Nice. We should get in touch sometime. Or like the
Definitely.
bauxite thing, is it based on Damanjodi or somewhere nearby or somewhere else?
No, no. This is a so if you all are interested, then we have been doing the updates of the PG Mali bauxite mines. It's basically just south of Niyamgiri. And last time when I did the sharing circle, actually there was a student. I can't remember her name, but she mentioned this really lovely book, children's book called Year of the Weeds, which was a fictionalized account of the Niyamgiri movement in Odisha. So something similar is happening here. Basically, the Vedanta is the company that's set up over here in Kalahandi, and they have a refinery, but they don't have the raw material to feed into the refinery. So that's why they have taken on lease a particular just south of the Niyamgiri. So we've been doing a kind of updates from the PGML movement for some time. Well, if the group is interested, we could share those updates. There have been about 8 till now, and they're largely in the realm of documentation of what is happening in the movement. So then maybe pick it up.
Yeah, I think we are interested. And we are also, I think, able to pass it on further, if that's okay with you. I mean, there would be other people also interested, hopefully. I mean, other.
Yes, yes. There is a
Uh,
lot of repression of the movement also. So a lot
yeah,
of
yeah,
people arrested on fake cases and stuff like that. So we are kind of working to provide that legal aid as well. So Manoranjan has come in handy over there as well. So yeah.
so, Kendall, anything else?
No, no, no. I think we've had a great discussion and hope we can perhaps collaborate more on your project and hopefully contribute in some way, one way or another. And we can share the details of that later through our mailing list as well. And for anyone who hasn't joined the mailing list but is interested, we conduct sessions such as these, which are kind of informative, academic, or otherwise. So there's a form, a link to a form on the chat box. Yeah, and you can register there to be part of the mailing list. And now to end, I will call upon Isha for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Carol. Good evening, all. I would like to sincerely thank our speakers, Mr. Randall hello. Okay. Randall Sequeira
Sequeira.
and sorry. Okay. So Mr. Randall Sequeira and Mrs. Manoranjan Swain for taking the time of to share their valuable insight on such an important and urgent issue. So your perspective on the land alienation and participation in legal approaches in Kalahandi have been the truly thought-provoking for all of us. So I would like to thank Professor Ipshita for your presence and all of you joined today and engaged there with this discussion. So and finally, big thank to Narrating Difference Research Forum team and organizing this thoughtful event. So we look forward to meeting you again in upcoming session. Thank you.
Thank you. Zohar to everyone. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we are looking forward to the updates that you're sending us,
Sure.
which we
Yeah.
will share, and hopefully, yes, there are things that we can do. At least
Sure.
we hope that
Thank you.
there are things we can do. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you.